our news director, Kevin Haugen, has a very long list of guests that we are welcoming to the program. So, Kevin, I am going to let you do the honors because we have a few different segments today with community comment. So, without further ado, here is your news director, Kevin Haugen, with community comment.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. Good afternoon. Welcome into today's community comment. Like Amy mentioned, we have a full slate of guests here this afternoon on our program. A little bit later, we'll be talking with Judy Hind, previewing her In Hindsight program happening in a couple weeks. We'll do a little bit of preview for the Fire and Ice concert series that's happening up, and perhaps a little bit of a tease to the BDACT's 60th season, which is just right around the corner. So a lot of exciting stuff to get to on community comment today. But I want to welcome into our conversation this afternoon our guests on the first segment here of community comment. I want to welcome into the Daily Dodge TV studio. We have Todd Halverson and Kim Halverson. They are with the Paddle City Big Band. They're going to talk about their upcoming performance and what the Paddle City Big Band is and all that exciting stuff with that. But I want to thank both Todd and Kim for coming in. Thank you guys both so much.
It's a pleasure being here.
If again, as also Amy mentioned, we are live on Daily Dodge TV with community comment this afternoon. So we'll have some clips, some images to share. So if you're by your computer or your phone, you can log on to dailydodge.com, go to the Daily Dodge TV tab and watch community comment from there this afternoon. But Todd and Kim, I want to maybe start off talking about just how Paddle City Big Band got started and the genesis behind it, because it's still really in its early stages. It's been just a couple years since you guys have been putting this band together and performing here in the community. And I'll let whoever wants to take the lead on this particular question jump right in. But how did the formation of Paddle City Big Band come together?
I'm going to let Kim do it since it was her brainchild.
Okay. Well, I'm a jazz piano player and moved to Beaver Dam and found that I didn't really have a musical home, and started playing in Madison and Oshkosh with different bands and Fond du Lac, subbing, but I just missed having that family band and a place to play. So I started trying to do everything I could to create a situation and realized that I could maybe start my own big band. So I threw the idea at my retired band director husband, and he was like, well, okay. So then I wrote a proposal, went to BDACT, and it's just been amazing ever since. Dream come true. So I called all of the musicians that I've always wanted to play with in this area, many of whom are teachers or retired teachers from the area, and we started. So this will be our third concert. This is our second season.
Our sophomore season.
Sophomore season.
No sophomore slump.
Yeah, no. Oh, we're just making it more fun every day. And yeah, so the band has been rehearsing. It's set up so we have 6 rehearsals, and then we have a concert on a Sunday in November, and then we have the next half of the season will be in the spring, where we'll have 6 rehearsals again and then have a concert in April.
Fantastic.
So we're trying to make it so that it's every year it'll be the same weekend, the weekend before Thanksgiving and the last weekend of April.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, and hopefully people will put it on their calendar and keep coming.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Todd, what was your initial thoughts when Kim approached you and threw this idea out? Were you on board right away, or did it take a little persuading to get you to join in?
Well, I am married to her, so I had to be on board right away. Honestly, I thought it was a great idea. There's a lot of things that have to go on. Being a band director for 32 years, there's a lot of things that have to go on, and she had it all figured out. She had it all planned out. She knew what she wanted to do. We teamed up. We called the people that we wanted to play and have the music with, and everybody jumped on board. We even had people calling us, can we join you? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we had some, a big band only has a certain amount of players. But
It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
Now, was there any sort of story behind the name of the band? Is there a reason that you ended up going with that name?
Well, we were sitting around one night watching Star Trek.
That's the first thing you think of when you think of a band.
Always.
We were kind of come up with names for it, is this Beaver Dam Jazz Orchestra work, does Dodge County Jazz Orchestra, things like that. And then we started thinking about, the city has been trying to brand themselves kayak and canoe capital. with, you know, we've seen the new water tower, we've seen the logo. I think it's an amazing way to do the city. It's like, what can we do to tie us into that with that? So we thought, well, what do canoes and kayaks have? Well, they have paddles. And so we kind of played around with that when we came up with Paddle City Big Band, which kind of rolled off the tongue. Sat down at my computer with Photoshop and started working on our logo. And it's just like we're kind of tying the city colors and a few other things, and it just seemed to work for us.
Yeah.
And we were at an antique store, and we found an old boat paddle. That was like, well, this is kind of cool.
Yep, and then it was set. And we also went with big band because we felt like people in the community would understand more what we are than jazz orchestra, which is really kind of more what we are, where we're trying to do songs in the style of a big band. So we have the big band setup of 5 saxophones, 5 trombones, 5 trumpets, and then a rhythm section. And we also are lucky enough to have a singer with us too. So we're able to do any kind of music in that big band format, and that's kind of what we're shooting for. We're trying to give our audience a variety of music in the big band style.
Great.
So yeah, I read this really cool thing about Buddy Rich, which many of you know is a famous jazz, had a big band in Vegas for years in the 60s and 70s. And in the early 70s, he was starting to notice that the big band gigs were kind of waning because disco was coming in and people wanted to dance disco. And so he was trying to figure out a way to make big band music relevant again. And he came up with this idea, and he wrote this, arranged this album, and it was songs that we know in the big band style. So he took, for example, one of the songs we're playing at our concert, which is a really cool jazz shuffle called Keep the Customer Satisfied, which is actually written by Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel. And it was popular at the time. So he took that and created a big band arrangement of it, which we'll be playing at our concert, which is one of the most fun songs to play. We all just have a big smile on our face while we're playing it. It's just so up and happy. But that's kind of what we do. And we're also playing one of the Beatles tunes. Blackbird, Paul McCartney wrote. It was supposed to be just him playing on piano. And it's in the style of big band. Just a delightful piece, kind of up and happy, and has all the elements of a big band piece, but a Beatles tune.
So if I have this correct, so the band is really in the style of a jazz style band that
Correct.
you pick and choose sort of songs that fit that style, and that's what you guys practice and then perform during your shows. Is that the process that you guys do?
Correct. And it's not so much, some people shy away from the word jazz because they feel that it's just going to be like free form. And improv, which we do improv. There are members do improvisational solos, but it's within the framework of a band. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, where there's a written out composition and then there's parts that are improvised. So
Yeah, and I love jazz. Now it's a soothing style of music. It's very calming, I feel like, and so you do have, like you mentioned, you do have the combination of that style versus organized pieces that are written that you follow of a band style. So yeah, like you said, if anybody who likes both or maybe one or the other, there's a little bit of everything for everyone to enjoy.
that's what we're going for as kind of the directors. That's what when we're looking at music, that's what we're trying to find. So we have a lot of Count Basie, like this concert. I think we have 5 Count Basie big charts that are really fun, like April in Paris, which is, everybody knows that from Count Basie, especially if you've ever seen Blazing Saddles.
Yes, great movie, fantastic
and
movie.
Count Basie in the desert. Yeah, so we have those kinds of charts, but then we also are doing Ella Fitzgerald's Tisket a Tasket, which will feature our vocalist, and we're doing Won't You Be My Neighbor by our favorite TV host on PBS, that he wrote that. And I didn't know he was a big music major. I'm kind of at the end of that show. But so Fred Rogers wrote it, but we're playing it in a big band style, but it's a samba. So it's just a very interesting piece, something everybody knows, but in the style of big band.
Now, is this music is available that you guys can go out and find the paper, that all the music sheets that are available, or do you guys have to do some writing yourself to make this fit in the style of band that you guys are?
Well, 3 of the songs that are on this concert are actually written or arranged by somebody. that we had one encore. Our opener, Chris McRae, who is a arranger, composer out of the Fox Valley, Neenah area, wrote our opener. And back in the 40s and 50s, jazz groups, they always had a theme or a signature song that they would play. And you would know as soon as the radio came on, that was that group, whether it was Glenn Miller or Benny Goodman, you knew that. Our piece called Paddle City Blues was written by Chris McRae for our group, was commissioned by friend of ours, my stepson, your son, Nick Gower and his wife Britta up in Minneapolis. They commissioned this piece for our group, and it is our opener every time we play. Our closer is called it's called a Paddle City Closer. Basically, it features as we introduce each member of the group. They stand up and they play something that that section would be known for. Something we kind of came up with something. So Kim and I sat down and we arranged that group together for it as a closer.
And then Todd took a song that some of us might know from the musical Fame, Out Here on My Own, and arranged it for our vocalist. So it's a feature, and it has a beautiful big band section in the middle. So we have some original. And next spring, we'll be doing an original from our bass player, Jeff Morose, who he wrote a chart, and we're going to be performing it for the first time. So. Great. Yeah, so we do a little of everything.
Yeah, so it seems also it's a mix of regularly established or people who know music and established songs written already versus mixing in a little bit of stuff that you guys do and being able to create and write music. And there's a good balance there, it seems like, that you guys are trying to strike.
That is what we're shooting for.
So, yes, we go out on the internet. There are places that sell music. One of the places that we go to, many band directors and choir directors and orchestra directors go to, they have a jazz version or a jazz section for that. There's one song we're doing this year that our lead alto sax player, beginning when we started, he goes, I really would like to play this chart. I played it in college. It's really a lot of fun. So I started looking for it online, going, it's not anywhere. But I kind of knew I knew the composer was, so I actually found his email. And I emailed him. I said, his name is Bob Mincer. I said, Bob, we started this big band. You don't know me from Fred, but we started this big band, and our lead alto would love to play this chart. How can I get a hold of it? Well, last year, Thanksgiving, I opened up my email, and there it says, Todd, here's the piece. Happy Thanksgiving. And he gave us the chart.
To us.
Wow, and it doesn't happen, I feel like,
No.
very often. Yeah, that's a rarity in that type of field.
Yeah, it's really becoming one of our band's favorite pieces. I mean,
Great.
it's just a very cool chart. So interesting to come just to hear that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Again, we are chatting with Todd Halverson and Kim Halverson with the Paddle City Big Band. Their fall performance is coming up here on November 19th at 2 p.m. at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. Tickets are $15 a head, and those you can purchase those online at bdact.com. .org. Okay, bdact.org, or I believe still at the ticket office there at the theater, which is I think open Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Correct.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now, with the Paddle City Big Band, there are, I believe you mentioned before we hopped on air today, there's 19 total members in that group, and now that's the limit. There is no more room. That's all you need to complete the Paddle City Big Band, correct?
Correct. Sadly, because I know it'd be so fun for everybody to join in. Yeah, but that's the one part about big band that's kind of that's the magic of it, is that each individual has their own part and that they are contributing and you need to build that family and that community among the musicians to really get what we call swing out of every song. So yeah.
Now, obviously you'd hope to stay together with the group that you have as long as you possibly can, but obviously we know people move, they decide to retire and move on. Is this something that you guys would look like down the road, to have open tryouts, people come in and looking at how you would fill it, and you have, I'm sure, announcements. I'm sure we'll run something here on our station to promote that as well. But is that how you see kind of maintaining the Paddle City Big Band here in the future?
That's how that would work.
Yeah, and we're also hoping there's some area big bands are doing a lot of outreach for students, and we're hoping at some point to maybe have some situation where we could, do a clinic for area students, or a jam session where we could, we have over, I don't know how many years, most of the members have at least 20 years of playing their instrument. So together there's a lot of knowledge there that would be another next step that we would like to pursue. So keep an ear out.
Fantastic. Can you maybe give us a little bit of a insight to the instruments that are made up in this band and how many of each you guys have?
So big bands traditionally have group saxophones, which would be a lead alto sax, and then a second alto sax, a lead tenor sax, and a second alto sax, and then a bari sax. Okay. So that covers that family. In the trombones, there would be between 4 and 5 trombones, between first, second, third, fourth, with fourth trombone being bass trombone. Trumpets, and then also doubling on flugelhorns, so there'd be 4 or 5 of those. A electric or string bass player, a drum set player, and then a piano player. And then we also have a vocalist.
Fantastic. Now, if people watching on Daily Dodge TV, they can head there right now and see a little video of the band performing at one of their shows here in the last 2 years to get a sort of a rough idea of what it looks like. There's no sound, so you'll have to go on November 19th to the theater to listen and hear and enjoy the wonderful music that will be played on that date. But now, when putting that band together, is that typically what you see in a big band style of music in the music world? Is that kind of the formation that we see in that type of big band style?
Correct.
You will see variations of that. A lot of times the saxophone players will be able to double on clarinet or flute, which would be in the style of the 30s and 40s big bands when they would have those. As again, the trumpets will be doing sometimes flugelhorn or piccolo trumpet. The rhythm section is pretty steady. However, piano players have, especially with keyboards, they can change the sound so they can have organ or electric piano sounds. As big bands grow, you can add strings or other instruments like that as it grows, horns. Then you're getting into more orchestral,
Right.
or what they call the jazz orchestras.
Which, I mean, we have the Beaver Dam Area Orchestra here in Beaver Dam, so you don't want to encroach on maybe what other people are already doing, and you have your own niche already.
Considering the director of Beaver Dam Area Orchestra sits right next to me in Palace City Big Band.
She's in our band.
I really don't want to make her too upset.
I believe that is Erin Ebersol. Yes, so I'm sure
We're
she will.
so happy to have her playing trombone
yes.
with us.
And as we're talking about that, just to plug their concert, since I do play in that organization as well, their concert, Beaver Dam Area Orchestra, is on Saturday, November 18th at 7 o'clock at the high school. So come see orchestra, then the next day come see jazz.
So you have back-to-back great opportunities to listen to some
Correct.
wonderful artists.
Many of those
musicians.
people that are in our Paddle City are also playing in community area
in
orchestra.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll be chatting with Erin Ebersol here on Community Comment on, don't hold me to this, I believe it's November 10th. I think that's the Friday before the show starts, so we'll have plenty of opportunity to preview that and let Erin talk all the things that the area orchestra will be doing during their performance on the 18th of November. But jumping back here to the Paddle City Big Band, you mentioned that your goal is to do a fall performance, a spring performance, and kind of keeping those 2 dates locked in so people will kind of know when those are coming up. Do you see anything down the road of maybe expanding that to certain events, playing at, a Dodge County Fair or other Music in the Park events or anything like that?
That's a really great question, and one that we have struggled with. There's 2 kinds of thoughts on that. One, the reason why I love doing this is that I was getting tired of being out late at night playing and having to carry heavy equipment. So this is an answer for me to just play at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon with my friends, and I don't have to. So the whole idea of going out in the community, although we'd really love to support everybody, we're kind of trying to just leave it at this for now.
Sure.
And with the option of maybe changing that down the road, but most of our members are teachers, and they are so busy. Yeah. And to make 19 people have the same date, that's a really hard thing. So we've decided to kind of, even though we'd love to support everybody, we're trying to pull it back and just keep it simple and try to just have a great concert 2 times a year.
Fantastic. We only have about a little under 2 minutes here left with Todd and Kim Halverson. In that short amount of time, I want both of you guys to have an opportunity to let our listeners and viewers know why they should head out to the theater on November 19th to listen to Paddle City Big Band. And Todd, we'll start with you.
Beaver Dam in the Dodge County area is just a hotbed of great artistic talent, whether it's Beaver Dam Community Band, Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, Beaver Dam Area Orchestra, the Dodge County Arts Association, Battle City Big Band. Come see people that you know, people that you talk to, people that teach your kids playing in jazz. Bring your family. It's a great family event for everybody. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and as we kind of said, at least the Packers aren't doing so well this year. So
Something better else to do on this
something
Sunday.
better else to do on a Sunday. But
And Kim, what about yourself?
Yeah. I would just encourage everyone to come because for 2 hours, you can just sit back and have memories from the music, maybe just put a big smile on your face and just relax and enjoy some music that maybe you haven't quite heard a lot of or enough of lately. So we'd just really love to see everybody come out.
Fantastic. Again, the performance for Paddle City Big Band is November 19th at 2 p.m. at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. Tickets are $15. You can go to bdact.org or visit the ticket office on Tuesdays and Thursdays to pick yours up. We have more community comment coming up, so I want to ask our listeners and viewers to stay put. Another segment of community comment is coming up next. And welcome back into Community Comments. They're our second segment. It is 12:57 here on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. And I want to welcome into the Daily Dodge TV studio our guests for the second segment. We have Judy Hahn, David Cook, and Kim Doyle. Thank you, all three of you, for coming in today.
Thank you.
Now, we are, in this segment, going to be discussing a upcoming performance that has been, has it been a couple years that it's been going on, or how many years?
This is our fourth rendition of the show. It's different than the other three, but our first one was in 2016, 17, 19, and now this is our fourth one.
And it is named after or involved in the naming, because as people watching on Daily Dodge TV can see the graphic there. It is called In Hindsight, with Judy Hahn's last name in there in the title. But let's maybe start talking about how this performance got started and what the idea behind it is for maybe somebody who's not familiar with it, who's never seen it. What can they expect? You mentioned it's a different show every time, but what roughly is In Hindsight?
It started as a brainchild of mine when I was probably in 5th or 6th grade, when I would just play and dance around my bedroom thinking I was going to be a talk show host someday. And then it just kind of morphed into, after I retired from teaching, I thought, I think I want to do this. So it's more, I would call it a variety show that is not based on the Carol Burnett Show, but it's after that format, recurring performers, returning skits. If every year there's been the same kind of general genre of music and things like that. So it's very family friendly. It's kind of a unique thing that our theater has done, and it's a variety show, I would call it.
Fantastic. Now, Judy, you're the director of In Hindsight. What do you do in that capacity in getting this production ready?
What don't I do, I guess is the question. I wrote many of the skits. Some of the skits were written by cast members, but I've got these ideas in my head that I've just kind of been keeping track of over the last many, many years. And then I have a cast that I call the Dream Team, because they are, and cast and crew. And I kind of fit like who would be best in which skit, who would be best in this position in the show. And so that's kind of my role, is just to coordinate the whole thing, get the cast and crew members, and then all the behind the scenes stuff, the marketing part, which I'm getting so much help from our community theater staff, which is fabulous. But just getting the word out, organizing the music, which thankfully I have David Cook to help with that. So there's just a lot that goes on that I don't think anyone who comes to the show will have no idea of all the back work that was done. But it's a labor of love, and it's very fun, very, very fun.
You wear many hats. And
That would be a perfect way to word it, yes.
Okay. I want to now bring in to our conversation David Cook, who, as Judy mentioned, is the music director for In Hindsight. And now, David, have you been the music director for every performance of In Hindsight so far?
Yes, I have.
Maybe talk a little bit about what that looks like and what your role is in the music director position.
Sure. Well, Judy has, like she mentioned, all these creative juices going on, and she comes up with all these ideas, and she says, "Hey, can you help me put this together?" So that's basically what I help do, is organize. We have a little combo. We have David Sneeder is playing the drums, and Austin White is playing the bass guitar. So organizing that little combo, myself on the piano, directing the little combo, if you will, helping to write some vocal parts for some of the music, teaching some of the vocal parts to the singers, and kind of, in a sense, running some of the vocal rehearsals, and then just listening carefully and making sure everybody has their parts, and that everything kind of musically goes off without a hitch.
Great. Now we'll hopefully at some point get into a little bit more of what the style of music that is performed during In Hindsight. I'm assuming, since the show itself is different every year, the music in some capacity is a little different every year. Could that be said?
Yeah, the song choices are different, similar styles sometimes, but it's every show is different and special in its own way.
Great. Now I want to now jump to our third guest here on this second segment of Community Comment. We have, again, it's Kim Doyle, who I believe you mentioned your a staff member with Beaver Dam Area Community
Yeah,
Theater.
I work for Beaver Dam. BDACT.
And what do you do in that role? What do you handle at the theater?
Production and volunteer coordinator, among other things. I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of the utility stuff, take care of a lot of things.
Right. Now, what is your role when it comes to In Hindsight?
In hindsight, well, I've been helping with the marketing. I'm kind of the leader of the marketing team. And then I'm also in it. Judy and I have been doing a skit for quite a long time that we're going to do together again. For those of you who know what that is.
It's almost 30 years of this.
No, really?
Yes.
30 years. Yeah.
Pretty soon we'll have to wrap up.
And we don't do it the same exact way we did when we started
It's a
either.
little different every time.
different.
Great. We don't want to spoil, obviously we want people to head out to. Now, I guess we should also mention here before we get too long in the tooth with our conversation here, when the show is, the times, and where to get tickets and all that information. I'll let whoever has that information share that with our listeners.
Well, the show dates are December 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's a Thursday night, a Friday night, and a Saturday afternoon. And you can get tickets at bdact.org. Or you can come to our box office in 117 West Maple Avenue on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our box office is open.
Great, fantastic. So you mentioned Kim and Judy as well, that you guys are bringing back a very popular, I'm sure, skit.
Yes.
That you guys, now, when you say you've done it for 30 years, I mean, in hindsight, it's only been around for 4 years, so how has it been going on for,
Well,
for 30 years?
I don't even remember where we started it.
I think
For Bows and Holly.
Yeah.
We used to do another variety show, similar style, but Judy's got her own twist to it for BDACT. And that started in 1985. Aging myself here. 1985, and we started doing it during that. Not right at 85, I don't
No,
think,
it was
but
probably in the
it
90s, but
evolved.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been 30 years at least. And so then every year we write a skit that is hopefully funny. We think it is.
She mostly writes it. I add little things once in a while.
And so it's just, if people ask me what this show is like, I always say funny, fun, simple, and I'm going to throw in the word corny, because some
It's
of it
corny.
really is. But it's also just reminiscent of a time when, I don't know, there's enough stuff going on in the world where this is just going to be a 2-hour break of fun and relaxation, I think, and you'll just enjoy it. It's just fun.
I mean, that's a great advertisement for the show itself. Like you mentioned, I mean, there's plenty of bad news that people are dealing with and hearing in our day and age, and just having, like you mentioned, a little 2-hour block that you can go to and just sort of forget things and worries in your life and just have fun and laugh for a couple hours is something that you shouldn't miss, I'm assuming.
Yes, thank you for that. That's
Shouldn't
perfect.
miss that.
And we mentioned that Kim is involved in the cast, Judy, you as well. Can we mention too who else is in the cast of In Hindsight?
Yes, I'd be glad to do that. So we have, there are 21 people in the actual cast. Pat Coe, Lisa Killingsworth, Laura Nelson Furtick, who is a former second grader of mine, so that's a fun reunion. Teresa Plock, Kay Paczynski, Mary Kolstead Miller, and then my fellow teacher friends, Nancy Coolibert, Vicki Fromme, and Julie Sether, and Dan Doyle. And Kim, of course, is in the show. David Cook is in the show. Rick Ramirez, Dave Bowman, Jim McMillan, Mark Wagner. And then I have 3 new cast members this year. Otherwise, those people have been in all my shows, but these 3 are Dr. Tom Castillo, Beth Ratajczak, who is a former second grader of mine also, and David Allen Smith, who happens to be the managing director at the Community Theater.
And we're all familiar here too with Dr. Tom Castillo, with the Singing Eye Docs every year.
Yes,
Love their
exactly.
advertisements come wintertime. But over the course of In Hindsight, have people come up and approach you and say, hey, this is awesome. I love what you guys are doing. I want to be involved. I want to help in any capacity. Is there room for that even now moving forward to make that happen?
Not sure about that. This is, the decision to do a show is based upon my availability to write it, because it takes well over a year to really perfect the show. And then, of course, it gets tweaked as once we start rehearsing. But I've been working on these shows for over a year. And then, of course, if David Cook is available, because he's absolutely my right-hand man. So I've kind of stuck with my dream team because if the cast gets way too big, then it's kind of cumbersome. But we're always, there have been people, every year my crew is a little different. And that's been really fun. Like, I will mention them also.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have co-producers and co-house managers, Connie Rogers and Jean Pillsbury. The musicians, David had mentioned, are David Cook on piano, David Sneeder is on drums, and then Austin White, who's my sound technician and projection technician, is also going to play bass on a few songs with us. My stage managers are Diane Rabale and Jen DiMaselli. And then I also have on sound Austin White and August Shire. And lighting designer and operator is Tommy Schultz. And then Mary Kolstad Miller is pulling, I will say double duty, but I'm going to have to say like quintuple duty. She is the set decorator. She's made some puppets. She's designed my original logo. And she's also making some masks that we'll be using throughout the show. And then we have a special little balcony that was built for this show, and her husband, Phil Miller, built that.
Great.
So.
Fantastic. So it's really all hands on deck
Yes.
effort to put this show on
Yes.
every year.
I forgot. I didn't forget. I just had to turn the page. Laura Congdon designed the playbill, the posters, and this. She's the graphic designer for this logo. And then our show photographer is Andy Martin.
Great. Fantastic. Now, David, I want to maybe jump back to the music side of things and look at what that process entails. Now, do you have to work hand in hand with Judy when she's working with the script and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking in terms of interluding some music pieces into this, or do you come in with your own ideas? But how does that process work?
The whole show is basically, if you will, it's just a number of different acts or different sets of either music or comedy, skits, dance, that kind of stuff. So it's, all right, she has her idea and this is the song that we'd like to have sung or played, and just putting it all together. So, the songs themselves are already kind of put together once we start our rehearsals, but then we do tweak a few things and add a few things here and there. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Are there like sound effects that are included, like something falling or somebody?
Not on purpose.
Well, yeah, hopefully it's all scripted.
scripted.
It's all
Yeah.
scripted and not a part or not an
Yeah.
accident. But I didn't know if that's something that's been factored into the show, or you do, or is it not the
No,
case?
I don't
Not
think
really.
we have sound effects in this one as much as, I was joking with Kim a few years ago about this show. Like, my show's got to be one of the easiest shows we do because I don't have a big set. I don't have a lot of costumes. I don't have a lot of props. She said, are you kidding me? It's probably our most technical show. But I do a projection for every scene in the back of the theater and then, or on the back of the stage. And now all of a sudden, it's heavy props, costume, and set
Judy
show.
has a slideshow set to specific music and lengths and everything. So it's you have to be very specific about how you run the tech for the show. And I'm like, she's like, oh, it's a simple show. I go, no, it's not. Not technically. It will be a simple show for the audience to view, but it's not simple to
put it
all
on,
together.
yeah. Now, how many rehearsals does it take
Good
to finally get, in hindsight, ready for their performances here and coming up in December?
How many in my head or real ones? Okay, when we got together, I'd sent scripts and music out way early because I wanted people, even last spring when we had gotten approval to do the show, I wanted to make sure that people had time. A couple of my friends are teachers, and I wanted them to have time. So over summer, I thought maybe they could work on things, and so that worked out great. David had the music quite a bit early, and but we started meeting in the end of September, and we're really rehearsing together as a group only twice a week. But people have been great about working on their own. And I was so impressed that first night when we showed up and we ran through music for the first time together, and it was like, oh my goodness, these people are really into this. They've really worked hard on it already. So that's why I said I call them my dream team, because anytime I have a question or an idea or a concern or a panic, I get support from the cast and crew, and they're just like, it'll be good, whatever you need, I'll do it. So yeah, very, very lucky.
And it's good to have that support, like you mentioned, throughout the process, because it's, in the director's seat, there's a lot of pieces and moving parts that you have to manage and have to be in charge of, and having people that you can trust and know that they're going to do their part and assist in any capacity. I'm sure that sort of makes this whole thing possible. And the reason why this is, now, is this the 4th year or 5th year that In Hindsight
This is the fourth.
the 4th year? So a lot of that is the reason why it's been 4 years now that In Hindsight has continued. Again, we are chatting with Judy Hine, David Cook, and Kim Doyle to discuss about In Hindsight that is taking place December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. Tickets are available at bdact.org or at the ticket office at the theater, and that is every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. If you're interested, and absolutely go pick your tickets before they sell out, and there's none left to get.
Yeah, that's something I always say about this show is if we're not sold out, there are tickets available at the door, but I would hate to have someone wait and then miss out on this great show, because I guarantee you there's going to be at least something in there that's for everybody.
Yeah, and again, we don't want to spoil too much of the show. We want people to fill the seats and watch it for themselves in person. But can we maybe talk a little bit just about, we sort of delved partly into the formatting of the show and how it's laid out. But is there room to kind of expand on that and talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
I just kind of had a little.
Yeah, as far as, we don't want to give too much away, but, there are some skits that, involve a couple people or a bigger set of people. There are some musical numbers that it could be a solo, it could be a quartet, it could be a big whole group number. There are some dance kind of numbers, a lot of familiar characters that you might recognize from decades ago might make appearances. Some musical
Maybe.
numbers. Possibly.
A little tease.
That's right. Many familiar songs, I would say, that people would recognize and can be able to sing along to in their head or out loud, whatever they feel like. Comedy. I guess I'm going to echo what Judy said. The word that always comes to my mind is fun. And people that have come out for the previous 3 In Hindsights have just smiled the whole time, and we get done with the curtain call and the lights come up and everybody's smiling. And that's what the show is all about, is just having a good time. And it's good, clean fun. You can take your family members along, and we work hard at that, and we just want people to come and have a good time.
That must be fun as a performer too. When the show comes to a close and you look out into the audience and you have to see the smiles on people's faces, the clapping, and everybody standing up. And I mean, that's got to feel. I'm sure it's a stressful couple of months, even for Judy, a year out writing everything, and it's a lot of work. But I'm sure once the shows wrap up and you see everybody's reactions to it, then this is why we go through all this struggle and putting this on every year. This is the reason why.
Yep. And when you have people come up to you after the show or text you or the next week and say, you know what, if you ever do another one of those, please let me know because I want to come again. That's golden.
That's great.
And the other thing that is really good for me is it could just be kind of we're all in the excitement of the show, but inevitably every time I've done a show, at least 10 of the cast members have come up to me at separate times and said, if you ever do another one, I'm in. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, let me ask you in 6 months. Right now, the high of the performance is there, but they all came through. Every single person that could do it came through, and I'm so lucky and blessed to have them.
It's good, clean fun, and you in the audience will feel like you've gotten a big warm hug from everybody on stage.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And there is audience participation on a couple parts.
Again, we don't want to spoil anything,
No.
so don't want to.
Just warm up to your vocal cords. That's what I'm going to say.
Any costume
Gonna be singing
changes?
along.
None of-
Not for the audience, but for us, yes. Oh, my goodness, yes. I was
sure that's a
listing
big
my
component.
costume
Yeah.
changes, and I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one. But, yeah, we have got some great costumes, period costumes for the decade skits, and specialty costumes for the dancing and stuff, so yeah.
And I don't think we ever mentioned that the theme of this show this time is it's about time. So you'll hear time references featured throughout the show.
Because Judy likes puns.
Hence the name of the show. I figured that was a part of what went into that.
Yes, yep. And yeah, in hindsight, it just started, actually, the first show started more as, for me, the idea of reflecting on your life or our lives, but then using that information not to dwell in the past, but to move forward. And so that's where the in hindsight came from. And of course, I have dachshunds, so my friend Mary Kolstad designed the original picture, and everyone was like, "Is it about dogs?" Well, no, not really. Well, this one is a little, but otherwise,
Oh,
no.
that.
Yeah,
Well, again, another tease for our listeners and viewers.
I want to make sure I.
Again, we're talking with Judy Hine, David Cook, and Kim Doyle. We're chatting about In Hindsight, which is opening up December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. We do have to take a quick break. We'll ask our guests to stay put. We'll chat a little bit more about In Hindsight after the break. More community comment is coming up next. To community comments. It is 1:22 on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Again, we are streaming on Daily Dodge TV for our listeners out there who want an opportunity to watch the show today. We, again, have in studio with us Judy Hine, who is the director of In Hindsight. And again, if you're on Daily Dodge TV watching the program, you can see a very cool graphic of the show and get some of the times and dates of when that's taking place. We also have in studio today David Cook, who is the music director for In Hindsight. And we also have Kim Doyle with us today, who is a staff member at Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, who is also in Hindsight. And a little bit later, we'll have her talk about some of the upcoming shows happening at the theater and give a little tease to the 60th year of events that's going on. So a lot of exciting stuff happening there. there at the theater. So a lot of stuff to talk about still here on the program today. But jumping back into In Hindsight, we want to make sure that we give some love to the sponsors and everyone who makes this show possible every year.
Yes, I am very, very happy to have 4 sponsors from the community. What sponsors do is they donate money to this show, which then offsets the budget, which of course then increases our profits from the show, so we can keep providing great shows at the theater. So I'd like to thank Ann, Cody, and Julie at Barber Ann's for their donation, Riverfront Wine Bar, Chapel of the Archangels, and Klodowski Real Estate. And it's a great reciprocity between community and business that we have with these people, so I'm very appreciative of them.
Great. And they are, again, anytime you can have people support the arts and music and what you guys do over at the theater, it just helps the community. Because, again, putting these shows on and having these things available helps. Like we mentioned in the first segment here with Judy, David, and Kim, that having something to just take your mind away from current life struggles and pain that's happening right now, we need more of those opportunities in the community. So, again, don't miss out on In Hindsight, happening December 7th. 8th and 9th. And we want to also dive a little bit into it. Again, we do not want to spoil any of the acts that are happening in the show, but as Judy mentioned during the break, and I love this example, sort of a nebulous list of sort of the acts that people can expect. And Judy, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you. I just jotted down some ideas here. We have singing acts. There are lots of songs and lots of music in this show. And as I mentioned before, we have a great combo of a piano player, drummer, and bass player. We have David Cook, David Sneeder, and Austin White on bass. We have a trio that has sung at all the shows, and that's Teresa Plock, Laura Furtick, and I. And then Mary Kolstad Miller will join us for a quartet with David Cook. And we have Mark Wagner, who is a graduate of Beaver Dam High School, but doesn't live in the area anymore, but he drives back to be in the show, and he is such a great stage presence. So I know that everyone will enjoy whatever he is in. We have a dancing act with the Lincoln School teachers, and an alum of Lincoln School is going to join us this time. We have something new this year, which is a stand-up comedian. Haven't had that before. There are several comedy skits, including Dave Bowman as a recurring favorite role. Dan Doyle, Jim McMillan, and Julie Sether are in some of those returning skits. And all the ladies in the cast have a special little role in this show. And then we have a quartet, Mark Wagner, Laura Furtick, Rick Ramirez, and we sing a couple songs in the quartet, and we do an audience participation sing-along. There's some surprise guests. So all 3 shows are basically the same. Well, at least they're planned to be the same. You never know. Sometimes some improv comes in, and audience reactions can sometimes change, what's going on. But generally, that's it. And you mentioned tickets before. I just looked at the website now, and we still have a month to go. We are 1/5 sold out.
Wow.
So
That's exciting.
it's very exciting.
That's awesome.
22% actually. So so get your tickets. Don't
Wait till December
And
too.
then-
Very popular
Disappointed.
show.
Yeah.
And we only have 3 performances, so.
Yeah, last time I had 4, and
So-
this time I only have 3. So we have to. Yeah.
Is it just more feasible to do 3 than 4? Is that the decision behind that?
Yeah, last year we did 2 in one day, and that's a lot for the cast. We did a matinee and an evening show, and
So then
that's
jump down
why.
to 3. Ju, you went through the list of the type of acts that will be In Hindsight here coming up. Now, when you're working on the script and getting everything put together, do you know in your mind, and when I'm writing this, I know I want this to be a music act, or does this all come in later? Is it writing that happens first and then deciding how it's going to be presented, or is that process all in the same?
It's a little of both, but your example is exactly what I do. Yeah, I have this idea like, oh, that'd be a fun song. Oh, I know who could do that one, and then you just kind of snowballs into what it ends up to be, a big snowman.
So it's sort of like a developing process. There really is no set goal. When you go into the creative process every year, when you're writing this, you just sort of let the creative juices flow, and however you envision it in your mind, and when something strikes you and you like it, this is where I want to take this, and
Yep.
and that's how that creative process
I have
works.
done so many talk texts to myself, no matter where I am. Oh, that'd be a good one for whenever I do a show about that, and then so then I have to go back and find them all, but yeah.
Are we going to have an in hindsight Judy's notes edition at some point? I'm just sure there's a lot of great show
You
ideas.
do not want to know what goes on in here. It's pretty scary.
Again, in hindsight, it's December 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is the fourth year that the show has been performed here in the community. And I want to take a couple minutes here to look back at some of the shows in the past and talk about some of the skits that maybe stand out or are were super well received, and just ones that stand out in your mind. And Judy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that, because there were a couple comments when people saw my logo. They had mentioned to people, oh, I've already seen that. And I was like, no, you haven't, because I haven't even seen it. But I think it's more, they recognize the logo, so it's almost like a brand. So the themes have been different every year. The first year was just in hindsight, and my theme was laughter, basically. And in that year, it was actually a talk show, variety show, and my first talk show guest was John Kraft, who used to work here.
Good friends with John Kraft. Love John
Yes.
Kraft, yeah.
Yes, and he did some impressions that he always does, and I mean, it was a huge hit. It was so much fun, and he did his Andy Griffith impression, and his sizzling bacon and Obama. I mean, he just is so talented. So that was a huge hit of that show. The second year I did In Hindsight, Snow Much Fun, because it was a Christmas show. That was the first time I'd done it in December, and that was joy. That was the theme, because I'd heard someone say something about sometimes we're too much into pleasure and not enough into joy, and I thought, oh, that's a good theme idea. And then last year was Walk This Way. So all the theme, everything that went with the show had to do with walking. And this year, it's about time, so it is about time, and it's about time we did another one, so it's got a double meaning there. But yeah, so I'm trying to think about it. So many of the skits that we had done, we're doing again, but a totally different script for it.
Version of it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's an interesting concept in and of itself. So is it the same premise but different dialogue? Is it the same dialogue but a different premise? What does that look like?
Yes. I'll refer back again to the Carol Burnett format. You know, she had her dancers, her June Taylor dancers, and then she had As the Stomach Turns. And so it was the same topic, but a different take on it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I,
Think of it as a sitcom with a different
Sure.
day. I mean, you're going to still watch the sitcom because it's going to be different every time, right?
Right.
I mean, this isn't a sitcom, but it's more of a variety show of the old Andy Williams, Carol Burnett, those types of variety shows, and you don't see much of that type of entertainment anymore. Right. That's why it'll be a warm hug to me. It's like, it kind of gives you the feeling of, when you were in your childhood.
Yeah, the same characters come back. If you enjoyed if you went to one of the last shows, I really liked that skit with those characters. Well, you'll probably see those same characters again.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
maybe,
Probably.
but just doing some
Maybe.
different things.
Great. Now, is there an archive that somebody can go in and say, hey, I want to get completely caught up on every season of In Hindsight before season number 4? Is there any way to do that, or no, there's not?
no, not really. They would have to read my script.
Which is,
Which again, you don't want to do that. So no, I think that's why you don't want to miss this one.
Right.
Talk to someone who's seen one.
yeah, there you go. Hey, yeah, talk to somebody who's had
Yes.
who's been to all three, and they get a little taste of what number 4 is going to be like. And
And the people who have, they're the ones that usually buy the
They're gonna
tickets
come.
first.
I think they've
Yeah.
got tickets already.
Yeah, they
some
bought
of
them, yeah. It's been on sale for about a month, so yeah, they've got them.
great. So yeah, it's really the only chance to see it is December
Exactly.
7th, 8th, and 9th at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. So make sure you get your tickets before it gets too late, and get down there and be sure to support everything that's been happening at the theater and all the wonderful shows that they put on there. And we'll talk with Kim in a little bit about some upcoming performances and shows happening at the theater that we want to highlight and mention as well.
I should just mention that all seats are the same price for this show. They're all $20, but they're reserved seats. So it's not general seating. You will still choose where you'd like to sit.
So anybody who's familiar with maybe hopping online and getting a movie theater ticket, and you pick your seat, and that's sort of how this process works.
It's time to go buy your tickets now.
Just do not wait. Kim told
We're
you.
running out of time.
It's about time.
It's about time. Oh, I just,
Did you just get it?
no, I didn't get it before.
A little alluding to the theme of this year, the year's In Hindsight again, which is about time, and we hope that you guys are willing to stay around for a couple of more minutes. We do have to take a break here in just a little bit to get some messages in, and then we'll join back again with our guests here. Again, we have Judy Hine, David Cook, Kim Doyle, and to discuss In Hindsight, which is happening December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. We do have to take a quick break. More community comment is up next. Welcome back into Community Comment this afternoon. We are streaming on Daily Dodge TV as well as you can listen to us on the dial on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. But I want to welcome back into the conversation our guests here on this third segment of Community Comment this afternoon. We have Judy Hine, who is Director of In Hindsight. We also have David Cook, who is the Music Director, and Kim Doyle, who is a cast member as well as a staff member with the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. And before the break, we're sort of getting a little bit into some previous shows and what those looked like and some highlights. And Judy mentioned some of the ones that were of note. But I want to give David and Kim an opportunity to discuss theirs. And David, we'll start with you.
Well, one of my favorite memories of the last show, actually, so this gives a little flavor of what the comedy might be like. Teresa Plock and I, we did a little skit to kind of mirror one of Victor Borge's skits. I don't know if the audience knows who Victor Borge is, but he was lived quite a while ago, but he was a piano performer and he did comedy throughout his skits. So Teresa played a soprano singer and I was on the piano, and we just did this comedy bit where she would go high and I would jump, and I fell off the bench and I had a seatbelt in my piano bench and I buckled the seatbelt and then I walked off the stage with the piano bench still belted to myself. So that's where the corny comes in, right? It's just fun. You just laugh. So that's kind of a flavor of what types of things you might kind of see.
Fantastic. Kim, is there any, I know that you and Judy are doing your around 30-year routine here again, and we don't want to discuss that too much, but in the last 3 years, has there been anything that you recall fondly when it comes to In Hindsight?
Well, I just have to bring up a memory that someone else had about when we sang. A group of us were singing the Hallelujah chorus, but the words were changed to What's in Fruitcake? And everyone else had been in choir in high school, and I was not in choir, so I did not know the Hallelujah chorus by heart. So I was the chef, and there were cards or something I was pointing to that explained what was happening in the song. So someone remembered that part of that show. So that was pretty goofy because I just got to be goofy, and it was like a chef, and they were talking about what's in fruitcake, what's in fruitcake, what's in fruitcake, what's in fruitcake, what's in fruitcake.
You do know it.
Just that part. That's the part I know. After that, I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to sing.
Well, Judy mentioned, though, it's the perfect way to summarize In Hindsight is it's funny, fun, simple, and corny. And that's really what people can expect when they go in and watch In Hindsight, again, December 7th, 8th, and 9th. Is there anything else when it comes to In Hindsight that we want our listeners and viewers to know about before the show happens?
I was thinking of another adjective, and I would say nostalgic, because so many of the skits, one of the skits that we did, I'm not giving anything away because everyone knows basically, but we did the Andy Griffith skit, and one of my former students had come to the show, and we were in the old theater then, and he came downstairs from the balcony and he said, I have never seen that show. I didn't even know what it was about, but I laughed hysterically. And I thought, bingo. You don't have to know what who those characters are or what that show was, or never maybe had even heard of it, and you still enjoyed it. So, and that's what this show is about.
Fantastic. Again, to make sure we hit on it as many times as possible, In Hindsight is December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, bdact.org for tickets, as well as Tuesday and Thursday for box office sales as well if you want to purchase yours in person. But I want to make sure we have some time here on our program this afternoon to shout out some of the upcoming performances that are happening at the theater. And Kim, I will turn the mic over to you and let our listeners and viewers know what's happening at the theater.
Well, earlier in this program today, you talked about the Paddle City Big Band, and that is also happening. We this weekend have a show of the new dueling pianos, but we have very few tickets left. So if you want to sing, there's single seats left. So if you want a single ticket,
I think Scott Eberle said when they were on yesterday that there were 12 left. I don't know if that went down.
I looked this morning and there were 11, so we sold one.
Well,
so we need a few more, and some of the seats are like you could sit like I sit here, and my friend would sit right in front of me to the so there you can still do it. That is such a fun time. They sing songs and they invite the audience to sing along with them. So it's like a big sing along, and it's really, really fun.
And that's on the 4th?
And that's on the 4th, this Saturday night. Yeah. So there's still a few tickets left for that. Other than that, in December, we start our Fire and Ice series, which is the first of 3 concerts. That will be Feed the Dog with special guest Lucky Pickers. I'm so excited about that concert. I love watching concerts at BDACT because there are no distractions. You can watch the performers perform, and many times there's storytelling involved because they tell you how they came up with writing the songs and the subject for the songs, which is, it's really kind of a story time and music all at the same time. It's very cool, very neat, very neat. So I highly recommend purchasing tickets for those. And tickets for all those concerts are only $20. Another thing we have coming up is our we have a One Voice concert on December 10th. That's the day after In Hindsight's done, and that's our 3rd through 5th grade children's chorus. So, other than that, we have our year-end appeal, our patron appeal, which we're gathering up patrons. We'll send out a bunch of letters to gather up patrons. The patron money helps us keep the building going and keep our bills paid. And it's different from sponsorship money, where the sponsorship money helps with offset the cost of each show. So we're always looking for sponsors, and we're encouraging patrons at the end of the year here. So and next year's our 60th season, and it's our Diamond Jubilee, Diamond Anniversary. So we're celebrating 60 brilliant seasons, and we'd like you all to shine on with us by becoming a patron. I can tell you that we have many events already planned for next year. We've got a wide variety. We've got musicals. We've got a world premiere musical coming up. We've got other entertainment. So we've got an improv thing that we're starting up. We've got the murder mysteries coming back. We've got lots and lots of entertainment planned for you. Lots of comedy, lots of music, and many concerts. So
Fantastic. I'm sure we'll have future community comments with members from the Beaver Dam
Yes.
Area Community Theater to highlight every single one of those.
bdact.org is the place to go.
That's right. Not only can you get your tickets there, you can look, I'm sure, at a
can see.
full calendar of events and everything that's
Yes.
happening, and make sure you can mark that down on your personal calendar so you don't miss any of it.
We're shooting for mid-November here to get a full announcement of everything that's upcoming in 2024.
Fantastic. Again, yesterday, and while we have a couple of folks here performing at the theater, I want to give an opportunity to ask each of you. Yesterday we had Emily Shire and Scott Eberly in on community comment to talk about the unveiling of the 4th mural that was on the theater, unveiled this past Monday. And I'm going to try to remember all 4, and anyone can jump in. I think the last one might trip me up. But we have Nancy Zeman, Lois Ehlert, Fred McMurray, and Eric Kelkhurst, who is was that the one that was unveiled this past
Yes.
Monday? So that's all 4. And maybe just giving each one of you an opportunity, and Kim, we can start with you. Just now that project is done and they're up, and what does that look like there on the building?
Well, it looks pretty cool. There's lots of people that drive by, take the route, and I know my sister does. She takes the route from one end of town to the other to go past there to see the nice murals, she said. So I think there's others probably that do the same thing, and they're very unique. And Stephen Bennett was instrumental in designing where everyone painted. There were 122 tiles in each portrait, and they're all painted by someone different, each a different individual.
Yeah, the Peony Festival, I believe, is
At
where
the
they.
Peony
Yep.
Festival, during the Peony Festival, that's the event so very unique and very exciting and it was a community project, but now they're all shown off on our building, so it's pretty cool.
Fantastic. David and Judy, have you guys had a chance yet to see the murals and any initial reactions now that they're all up?
Yeah, no, I think they're beautiful, and I think the work that has gone into our downtown in the last number of years has really been an asset to the community, and things are starting to look really nice down there.
Fantastic.
And we have that arts district now with the Dodge County Center for the Arts right there, and Stephen Bennett's exhibit was there. I don't know if it still is, but it is phenomenal. That man is so talented.
He's been in a lot of famous people throughout his career. He's
Just amazing. But I had the honor of painting a square for my dear friend Nancy Zeman. So, yes, I love that, and I know right where I am in the
You walked by and spotted it out, you know right where.
Right by the chin, yes. So, And actually Nancy was in Boughs and Holly with Kim and me at one point.
She actually took part in the same style of skit that we're going to be performing in December.
Okay.
Yeah, she said she never got to be a I'll say it. Never got to do that in high school, so
There
she
you
was
go.
able to do it with us, and it was just so much fun. And
Nobody heard
Mr.
anything.
Dealey, no,
Forget
no,
it.
rewind.
Still show up. And anybody who hasn't
should
seen
have
the
figured it out. Anyone who's seen this show knows.
No.
Yeah. And if you haven't, you should come and see it.
Again, it's December 7th, 8th, and 9th here at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. Again, it's also a great opportunity, if you haven't seen the murals yet, to get down there and check those out and see all that great work that's been happening there at the theater. We just have a few minutes left here on community comment. I just want to let each one of our guests one more time have a final comment on why people should head out to the theater on December 7th, 8th, and 9th to watch In Hindsight. Kim, we'll start with you, then we'll go to David, and we'll wrap up with Judy.
Well, you can get your big hug from the cast,
Virtual.
theoretical hug. You're
not gonna go around to
You're
each-
not gonna know. We
give
don't
them hugs.
want everybody to give hugs. So if you're don't stay away if that's not your your jam. But and we have a full concessions. We have good concessions. We have candy and popcorn and soft drinks and
2 special
alcoholic
show
drinks. And so it's very nice and relaxed, and it's just a really nice place to come and bring your friends along, bring your family. It's completely family friendly, so there's nothing offensive at all in the show. It'll be really a lot of fun for you.
Fantastic. And David, what about yourself?
Yeah, just come out and if you want a night of laughter and just good fun that you can smile through the whole evening and laugh and maybe even some belly laughs, seeing a great group of friends up on stage, just having fun. That's what we do.
Great. Now, Judy, the director of In Hindsight, wrap it all up for us.
All right. Well, I do want to mention thanking the marketing team at the community theater, Emily Orvik and group. Sandy Menchel, the costume, she was really helpful in our costume room, and Amy Friedel and Sarah Strauth helped with props. And just kind of wraps up that we are a family. We are a community theater family, and we have fun, and we get along, and we laugh, and we provide, I would like to say, quality entertainment for this community. So I hope to see everybody there.
Thank you very much. And again, the performances for In Hindsight are December 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can get the tickets online at bdact.org, or you can head down to the theater's box office, open Tuesday and Thursday, so tomorrow, and those hours are 10 a.m. To 4 p.m. And like Judy mentioned, 22% of tickets are sold, so you don't want to wait too much longer to get yours to catch In Hindsight happening here in just a couple of weeks.
Time's wasting.
It's about time for your ticket.
It's time to go buy your tickets. Again, I want to thank our guests here on our second and third segment of Community Comment this afternoon. Again, we have in studio with us today Judy Hine, director of In Hindsight, David Cook, music director, and Kim Doyle, who is / cast member and staff member with the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater. All three of you, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much.
I think we're out of time.
That's a perfect way to end Community Comment.